TV Fox 17. And now your host, Dr. James Haney.
Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is Coach Frankie Allen of the Tennessee State University basketball program. And we're fortunate to have with us Coach Allen to talk about the Tennessee State University basketball program and the fact that Tennessee State University is the OVC champ in men's basketball for the 1993 season. Welcome to the show this morning, Coach.
Well, thank you, Dr. Haney, for having me as your guest. Yeah, we were very fortunate last year to capture the first OVC championship, and then we were participating in the NCAA, and it was the first time that Tennessee State University had represented the Ohio Valley Conference in the NCAA, and it was the first ever conference championship in any sport since Tennessee State has been in the Ohio Valley Conference. We're quite proud of that accomplishment.
Very good. And, Coach, of course, we certainly will talk about the basketball program and a number of other things this morning, but I can't forget that it was about this time that you made your first appearance on our show, and I think it was at that point that we predicted that Tennessee State University would win the OVC and whatnot, and we talked about that, and we hope that that was a good omen, and you might be prepared to do that through a repeat. But first, let's talk about Coach Frankie Allen and give our audience some information about your background and education and some of the things that were important in your life leading you to become coach of the Tennessee State University men's basketball program.
Well, I've always enjoyed athletics. I'm originally from Virginia. I was born and raised in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is in the central part of the state. I've been home to visit my mother quite often, so it's about a 9-hour drive from Nashville. You know, my parents, like most parents, you know, they try to instill certain values in their children, and I was very fortunate, I think, in some respects, because I was the youngest, and so I had the benefit of I guess, of maybe getting a little bit more sometimes in terms of opportunities. But I was the youngest of three. I have an older brother and sister that still live in Charlottesville. And, you know, I grew up there, played high school basketball at Old Lane High School, for any Charlottesvillians looking in this morning. And we were fortunate to win back-to-back conference championships as when I was a player there. But I really felt that those experiences that I had were very instrumental. I think one of the big keys, both my mother and my father, they were both just hard-working people that, you know, try to get their children to do the best and make the most of first opportunities. And I was the first one in my family, being the youngest, that had an opportunity to go to college, and that was provided by an athletic scholarship to a small school also in the state of Virginia, Roanoke College. I enjoyed quite a bit of success there. We won conference championships, went to the NCAA Division II championships, you know, had an outstanding career there. Was the all-time leading scorer and rebounder at Roanoke College, and those records still prevail today. Also the all-time leading scorer in the state of Virginia for all of college basketball. So, you know, I had some great success there, and I really appreciate the fact that, like I said, my parents were able to instill in me the value of making the most of your first opportunities. And I think those things opened a lot of doors for me. I went from there with a BA degree in philosophy. I worked toward a master's degree in athletic administration at Virginia Tech, where I coached for 15 years. I was an assistant coach at Virginia Tech for 11 years. Our teams enjoyed great success. The last 4 years of that 15-year stint, I was the head coach, where I was Metro Conference Coach of the Year, and enjoyed a great deal of success, having coached 2 players that are now playing in the professional ranks. And then after that, I was called upon by Dr. Hefner, who's the president at Tennessee State University, as you well know, and he wanted to upgrade his basketball program. I thought the situation here was very inviting, very intriguing. The possibilities to be good were all here, and the support from the president right down through the athletic administration made this a very attractive job. So, you know, I moved to Nashville a couple of years ago, and of course we've had some outstanding success this past year. Our first year we built with our recruiting. I had an outstanding staff of assistant coaches, Ricardo Patton, who's since left me and moved on to another school, Gary White, who's since left me and moved on to another school, Coach Greg O'Brien, who's still with me, and I've added another assistant coach this year, a young man by the name of Charles Ramsey, and we're trying to carry on the tradition of Tennessee State basketball that was once a very proud and a very rich tradition. Fell on some hard times, but I think we've rekindled the spirit, the enthusiasm, and we're looking forward to another successful year with our basketball program at Tennessee State University.
And of course, Coach, I think you've been picked #1 by the media to repeat your success of last year. And we all look forward to seeing you do that. But let's look at that successful OVC team. I mean, what can you tell us, the audience, about that team? Nobody certainly expected you when the season started to end up as the OVC champs and then to go to the NCAA. What can you say about that team?
Well, I think it was just that championship was won the old-fashioned way with a lot of hard work. As a team motto, we have as our team motto, and we've had it since I've been the head coach, there's no substitute for hard work. I may say to the players anytime we're breaking the huddle after a timeout or doing our practice sessions, there's no substitute for, and they'll always respond, hard work. And I think we instilled some good work habits in those young men. True, we had some very talented players, but we played so well together. There have been a lot of teams that were more talented, I thought, that we played last year, but I don't think any team blended its talents and utilized its talents as well as we did. The team chemistry last year was just outstanding. I certainly hope that we can recapture that same spirit and team unity that we had last year, because those were the things that really helped us win the championship. I told the players on many occasions during the season when we were winning and we were kind of basking in the glory and the media was calling us Cinderella and all those good things. I told them on many occasions, I said, you know, I'm really proud of the fact that we've won, but I'm even more proud of the fact is the way we win. We do it with style, we do it with dignity, we do it with class. And I think we made everybody last year that was connected with Tennessee State University very proud of this basketball team and its program, because I thought we represented ourselves and the university in the way and manner that the university had been accustomed to for so many years.
When you think about support, that's a very, very important ingredient. I recall you talking about it the last time you were with us. What kind of support do you think that you're finding and that you found last year, and what kind of support do you anticipate dealing with this team?
Well, the support has been tremendous, like I said, from the university to the community to just our fans, our student body. They've all rallied behind our basketball program. When I talked to people in the community that had been long-time fans of Tennessee State University, they said to me, said, Coach, we were just waiting for something to cheer about. You know, you've restored our pride, you know. And those kind of things make you feel good as a coach, that not only are you reaching out and touching your players, but you're reaching out and touching the community. And in some way, shape, or form, maybe we're giving hope to a community of people that look for something to hope for and to hang on to. And I think a lot of times as coaches, we don't realize the importance that our overall program or what success will do for the overall program or for the overall university. And the support has been tremendous, and I really feel that it will continue. Our season ticket sales are up. They're still available over at the ticket office. Mr. Carl Pillow, we've got, you know, some great home games. We've got a brand new floor last year that we played on, that we were undefeated on that floor. The Gentry Center is a showplace. I mean, we've had people now that have worked extremely hard, you know, to get the building to look like a building of old, where, you know, you had people coming in and being able to find the correct seats. The entire building has been repainted, you know, and it really looks good over there. And it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of effort from a lot of people, you know, in the building and the grounds crew, to people like Gerald McRae, who's in charge of the Gentry Center. You know, they've taken pride in doing those things. So when you see that product of a basketball team out there on the floor, Dr. Haney, there's a lot of things that go in, that are involved in it. There's been a lot of people, so quote unquote, behind the scenes that have done a tremendous job of supporting this basketball team and supporting this basketball program. And I just want to just say, you know, to the people in the Nashville community, come out and support this team. Yeah, well, last year we were Cinderella, but I think this year we're a team that's going to be ranked #1. that's going to have to defend this championship, and sometimes having that support, they're visible at the game, being vocal. You know, those are the things that help you win a lot of those close ball games, and those are the ones you need to win to repeat as champions.
Coach, looking over that last year's team and the incoming team, why don't you give us some information in terms of some of the players that won't be with you this coming season and some of the players that will be there, and what has happened to, I think you mentioned earlier that you placed 2 young men in the NBA. Why don't you give us some information in reference to that so that we can sort of keep our eyes open for that?
Well, the players that won't be with us next year, of course, were our captains, Dwayne Wilson, who will be acting as a graduate assistant coach, and Michael Moore, who will also be involved with our program as he's finishing up his degree. Those 2 contributed a great deal. Michael started every game for us, got a lot of rebounds, played tremendous on the defensive end, and was a kind of a mainstay with the program. He was recruited by former coaches before I got here, but he was the only one that had been recruited by the former coaches that stuck it out, and I'm really proud of the fact that he made a great contribution to our program. The players that will be returning are all OVC Player of the Year. Carlos Rogers, a 6'11" center. He averaged 20 points and about 12 rebounds and almost 4 block shots a game. Another all-OVC performer, Monty Wilson, was Freshman of the Year last year. He averaged in double figures in points and about 8 or 9 rebounds. He's just going to be a sophomore. We're looking for Monty to really pick up the slack and even become a better player. Timmy Horton last year was second team all-OVC. Started every game since he's been here at either the point guard or the second guard. A tremendous defender, one of the great workers that we have. He leads by example. Every day Timmy comes out there on the floor, whether it's practice or a game, he gives you 110%. Also, Curtis Davis made the all-tournament team last year up at Lexington, Kentucky. He's coming back for his sophomore year. But we weren't a team of individuals. We had a lot of people that contributed a great deal. You know, Neil Jones started some at the point guard. When our starting point guard, Greg Watkins, was out, both of those guys did a great job at the point guard position. They're both returning. We also feel that we'll get, you know, great support from people off the bench like John Ruffin and Royce Gurnell. Those people last year that played a tremendous role in what we would call a reserve duty. Those guys were outstanding out there for us last year. I can't say enough about them. Curtis Jenkins, who was injured most of the year, was kind of the inspirational team leader. He would always lead us in prayer. And he's back for his sophomore year, and hopefully he can stay healthy and try to, you know, pick up where he left off before he was injured. And we've added some newcomers to the team that I think will also be a big benefit to us. Locally, we got a young man by the name of Jeff Johnson from Aquinas Junior College. He's 6'8", 245 pounds. We also had played for us last year and did an outstanding job, who's also from Aquinas, Rico Beasley. He was injured most of the year, but down the stretch he became healthy again. He's one of the best pure shooters that we've had at TSU in a long time. Also, we got another newcomer, Chad Davis from out of Chattanooga, who could really be an asset to us because of his abilities. And a young man that's a great athlete by the name of Damon Page. Damon's done an outstanding job in our early practices, one of the top athletes in the area last year when he played at Gallatin High School. So these young men that we have on the team are going to contribute a great deal to the future success of the Tennessee State University basketball program.
So there's quite a bit of substance in terms of looking over your lineup and in terms of what you have, the young men that you have returning. There's quite a bit of substance in placing you in number 1 from that perspective.
Well, right. We have a lot of people returning, and I think that that when you look at the experience factor, a lot of times when they make these preseason polls, that's one of the big criteria. But as I've told the players on many occasions, last year we were picked last and we finished first. So, you know, the preseason prognostications aren't always hold water. We've got to continue to work extremely hard and realize that it'd probably even be more difficult this year because of the fact of the added pressure, you know, the fact that teams are really gearing their season to beat TSU. So now we've got to be, you know, more than ever prepared every night out physically, emotionally, mentally to go out and play the type of basketball that it takes to win.
Coach, let's look at basketball within the framework of education and scholarships and whatnot, because I think you've said yourself that you were fortunate enough to get through college through with athletic scholarships and et cetera. Let's look at scholarships now from a national point of view and from the point of view of the National Collegiate Association's attitude towards scholarships. Quite recently, we know that quite a number of the black coaches in America went to Washington, D.C. To deal with specific problems dealing with scholarships and et cetera. Why don't you give us and our audience some information relative to that this morning, and what were they trying to achieve, and what are some of the problems in reference to scholarships?
Well, yes, Dr. Haney, the NCAA is the governing body of college athletics. And the NCAA is made up of colleges and universities like Tennessee State University and all the universities that are affiliated with the NCAA. So anytime you want legislation change, you have to go through the NCAA, their legislative committee, and there's also a group called the National Association of Basketball Coaches that have tried to lobby for certain rules, restrictions to be looked at before they've been enacted. And I think that what happened is that an offspring from that was the Black Coaches Association, which was formed about 7 or 8 years ago. The Black Coaches Association, felt that some of the rules that were being imposed, like the restrictions in scholarships, the reduced number of scholarships, even though those proposals had been passed by a lot of universities, and the reasoning behind it was what they call cost containment measures. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to run an athletic program. So in men's basketball, for example, they went from 15 scholarships to 13 scholarships in an effort to reduce costs. In football, I think they decreased it by as many as 17, or it's projected to be increased by as many as 17 in 1AA football in the next couple years. Well, all those things sounded good because everybody's looking for a way to make the most out of their money and for cost containment. And the National Association of Basketball Coaches were dealing with it as an issue, as a basketball issue. And I think it fell on kind of some deaf ears because of the fact that it was felt by a lot of people that coaches were just trying to get more scholarships so they'd have more players so they could win more games. And that wasn't necessarily the mission. Some of the leading black coaches in America, some of the most visible black coaches in America, called a summit for Washington, D.C. I was fortunate enough that Dr. Hefner let me attend, representing Tennessee State University. But John Thompson, George Ravlin, Nolan Richardson, Clem Haskins, some of I guess, the most visible black coaches in America met there. And the mission was not so much a basketball issue as it was a social issue. George Ravlin had done a study and found these statistics to be true, that 99% of all black athletes that receive scholarships receive them in the sports of football and basketball. When you reduce those two sports, there's a possibility over a 10-year period that there may be anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 young black males ages 17 and 18 restricted from having the opportunity to go to college and get a college education. We're well aware there are other avenues to get to college, but if you look in the black community, and every coach that was there had been afforded the opportunity to go to college through an athletic scholarship, you realize that it has a tremendous impact in the black community, a tremendous impact on the historically black colleges and universities. So our mission was not so much to look at it from just a financial standpoint, but from a social issue. Because when you restrict people from the opportunity to go to college, then they have to make other adjustments. They have to find a way themselves. And those are the type of things that we're trying to guard against. It was social issues. When you talk about crime, when you talk about drug use, when you talk about a lost generation of young black males, we felt as role models, coaches had been successful, that we wouldn't want history to look back on this and say, well, what did you do, to help bring attention to a problem that I don't think that the college presidents and the people at the NCAA had realized. I firmly believe this one issue, and there were some other issues, but this one issue will be resolved, and I think you'll see a restoration in scholarships because it does have a tremendous impact, and it impacts more negatively and more harmful to a young black male athlete aspiring to go to college.
And so that was one of the central issues that dealing with the scholarships and with the opportunities that were made available, which is to say that, as you indicated earlier, that you saw it primarily as a social issue rather than as an issue of number of scholarships.
Right, it's more of a social issue as far as the Black Coaches Association is concerned because of the fact of some of the things that I've mentioned earlier. And I think that, you know, we have to, as coaches, you know, really be more aware of sometimes the social impact of certain legislation. And that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to bring national attention. We went to Washington, D.C. to get support from the Congressional Black Caucus. They are just average working people that are in Congress that have a lot of other things to do, so they didn't fully understand, you know, what our mission was. But after meeting with them, we got their full support. You know, they're going to meet as a task force and meet with the representatives of the NCAA and discuss, you know, that issue and a few other issues that were brought up on the table. One of the other main concerns was the fact that the NCAA has so much legislation on how much involvement a coach can have in the community or how much involvement he can have with his own team. And I think
what are some of the rules and regulations in reference to
well, there's certain times in which you can even go out in the community and speak to youth groups because there may be a violation because there may have been someone that the NCAA would have felt was a recruitable athlete. Say if the boys club calls me and they say, Coach Allen, we want you to come out and be our guest speaker, or we want you to come out and just talk to some of our youth down there and maybe bring a player. There's certain times of the year we can't do that because if they're in the 9th grade or older, and those are the type of young men that you want to reach, they may be termed recruitable athletes. And those are some things that I think the NCAA is off base. I don't think any coach is trying to gain an unfair recruiting advantage, but if someone in the community says, well, this coach could be a role model, he could make the difference in this young man's life, well, I would like for you to talk to him, then we feel that as coaches, all coaches, but in particular all Black coaches, feel like we have an obligation and a duty to do these type of things in the communities in which we reside. So those were some of the issues also, was trying to get the NCAA to cut back on the legislation that would restrict a coach from being more active in the community, that would also restrict a coach at certain times when he could even talk with his own team. There are only certain times during the year when you can have a quote-unquote team meeting with your own players, those players that you worked hard to recruit who want to come to you and feel close to you. There are only certain times in the year that we can actually talk to them in regard to basketball, academics, or what have you. And I think that, you know, sometimes the rules had good intent, but, you know, they just weren't workable and they just weren't the type of situations that you could blanket across the board and say this is fair for everyone. Each individual and each individual school is different. And I just think as coaches, and in particular Black Coaches Association, felt that we needed more leeway in those areas.
Now, you've got an upcoming season, Coach, and I know ordinarily you start off your season by having Midnight Madness, and this show will be aired a couple of days before the beginning, I think, of your upcoming season. But what can you tell our audience this morning about your upcoming season in terms of your schedule and some of the other things that you think are important?
Well, our first home game will be December the 6th. It's against Fisk University, and it's a game that we think will have a lot of community interest. Then our next home game will be December 18th against North Carolina A&T, which has been a traditional rival of TSU. The North Carolina A&T game is on the 18th of December, and it's a Saturday. The Fisk game is Monday night. Our non-conference schedule in December is very, very difficult. Our first home game is Monday, November 29th at Jackson State. And Jackson State has an outstanding program, and last year we were very fortunate to defeat them in our first home game last year. So now we go down and play them in their first home game for this coming year. But we have a trip to Hawaii by way of UCLA. We play on the West Coast in Los Angeles. We play UCLA, then we play in a tournament in Hawaii. Our first opponent there would be the University of Alabama, Birmingham. The other two schools are the University of Hawaii and the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Then we come back and play our OVC schedule. Prior to going to Hawaii, we do play in a tournament in Cincinnati, where I think there are a lot of people from Nashville that want to go up there. It's on the weekend of December 2nd and 3rd. We play Central State on Friday, and we play Southern University out of Baton Rouge, which was also an NCAA participant last year. And Southern, Coppin State and Tennessee State were the only 3 historically black colleges and universities to go to the NCAA Division I last year. So that's going to match us up against a fine Southern team. That'll be like December 3rd and 4th up in the Cincinnati area, and it's at Riverfront Coliseum. And so I know a lot of people from here are thinking about going up, and we definitely would need the support. Then we get into OVC play. January 3rd, we play at Austin Peay. And then after that, you know, the rest of the games will be, you know, home and away in the OVC. Our final game of the season is a non-conference game at the University of Alabama. But we're looking forward to an outstanding season. Obviously, we've got some talented people. We're the defending champions. Our goal, obviously, is to go out and do well, do better than we did last year. We know it's a tough road ahead of us, but with the support and with our players playing with the same intensity and enthusiasm that they had last year, you know, I feel it's a very attainable goal.
When you think about the OVC and NCAA, what can you tell our audience about the performance of your players at that level?
Well, I thought,
especially NCAA.
Well, I thought that last year we performed quite well once we got in the NCAA. We were a little bit overmatched with Seton Hall, but I really felt that they had the experience of being in the NCAA for several years. That was our first trip there. You know, our big goal is to win the Ohio Valley Conference. If you win the Ohio Valley Conference tournament like we did last year, there's an automatic bid to the NCAA. So first things first, we've really got to concentrate and do well in the conference and win the conference tournament to get back to the NCAA. Once we get back there, we should be fortunate enough to win the OVC again. Then I think we'll be more relaxed. We'll understand better what it takes to compete at that level. And then again, it's all a matter of what teams you draw, you know, in the tournament. As I said, last year Southern went, they drew Georgia Tech and pulled off one of the big upsets in the first round. I think we're capable of winning games in the NCAA if we do those things necessary to get there. And that means doing well in the OVC, especially in the OVC tournament, winning that and then moving on to the NCAA.
Coach, we've got about a minute before we end the show for today. Any final comments that you'd like to leave with our audience, especially about ticket sales and how they might be able to purchase a ticket? Do that in the last minute.
Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. We do have season tickets available and individual game tickets. The number is 320-3594. Our ticket manager is Carl Pillow, and you know, Carl will talk with you or someone off of his staff in terms of season tickets. I really hope that this year, that for the first time ever, we can have a legitimate sellout in the Gentry Center. We've got a tremendous amount of home games, and we certainly hope that the fans will come out and support us, and we can get that one big, or maybe many, sellouts this year in the Gentry Center. And
I'm sure you will. And Coach, let me thank you for coming by and bringing this handsome trophy to allow us to see what it looks like, what an OVC, Ohio Valley Conference champ trophy looks like. And we certainly appreciate that, and thank you. And let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good morning.